This video is something a bit different. It's a bit of a promotional video and a bit of background on what Optimal Endurance is, and more specifically what Optimal Endurance Club is, in terms of a feature which we are now about a month away from our first anniversary of launching what we call the Optimal Endurance Club. So as a coaching business and myself coaching, we've been around for about 5 or 6 years now. And as I've brought more coaches on board to develop a bit of a squad and a bit of a team, I've always wanted to keep the numbers that coaches coach relatively small. And by that, I mean maximum 20 athletes per coach. But for the vast majority of us, we fluctuate somewhere between sort of around the 15 number, depending on the events people are doing, the time of the year, etc. That's to keep the actual coaching high quality. Most of us either work part-time or have jobs in and around it, or are racing as professional athletes, but it makes sure that the athletes that are paying for one-to-one coaching get the kind of quality, bespoke relationship that you would build with a coach on a one-to-one basis. In order to sort of grow the business and make the business, in my opinion, something that's sustainable and can cope with the kind of peaks and flows of athletes, I wanted to bring what we've called our club feature. And effectively, this is a cheap product that those that are either looking to come on board to be coached at some point, have been coached by us but want to stay engaged with us after they've done their main race, maybe throughout off season or for a month or two, or those out there that are either already coached but not necessarily part of like a club or team setup, or people new to the sport that maybe don't necessarily feel the need or desire to be coached one-to-one but want to still be involved in a team and come with some of those benefits. So in January of 2025, we launched the OE Club, and for £25 a month, I have tried my hardest to demonstrate a huge amount of value for that nominal fee. The first thing that we set up were sessions that we gave people, and in October this year, we changed it and upped our offering to effectively give people a swim, a bike and a run to do each week. And effectively the guidance is that the rest of your training should be aerobic, kind of easy mileage, hours on the turbo, etc., technique in the pool, and they effectively form your key session to do each week. And for most people that are training up to sort of 12, 13, 14 hours, that is plenty to do one hard session with a specific goal or focus each week, and the rest of your training is kind of technique or aerobic based. Yes, if you are going to train 20 plus hours a week, you probably will do multiple hard sessions in each discipline, but arguably if you're training 20 hours plus a week, you probably are also coached or have that ability within your structure or know what you're doing. So the idea is that you do those sessions. The bike in particular, we have not missed a week, and I'm particularly proud of this in the sense of whenever we do something or I do something, I always want to be consistent. But every Tuesday evening at 5:30, we run the session on either Zwift, Trainer Road, Training Peaks Virtual, whatever platform the athlete uses. But we effectively communicate via an app called Discord, which effectively is a voice call that you can do as a group. There's always a coach on there, or our ride leader, which is an ex-athlete of ours called Ollie Smith, who will talk you through the session. People come and do different ones, but ultimately there's a session to do each week, and people come for either the social or kind of do their own thing. So that's the kind of core product of the club, and I think that alone is worth £25 a month to those that want to bring a bit of structure to their training. Some of the other benefits that joining the club offers: we now have 7 coaches, all qualified, all got different types of qualifications. We've got a nutritionist in-house, we've got a couple of S&C experts as well as triathlon qualifications, a couple of current pro triathletes, an ex-pro triathlete, an ex-elite cyclist within our coaching group. So we really, and I make a joke about this, but I am deadly serious, that I believe there isn't many questions we don't know the answer to, and rather than asking these AI models and people making training plans up and asking for advice from those types of things, why not actually ask a human? And that alone, I think, can add quite a lot of value to people, particularly when they're new to the sport. You also won't just necessarily get answers from the coaches. We have groups within our community WhatsApp group where the athletes may answer the questions, and we've got athletes that are very experienced, been around the sport for decades, and we've got people that are very new and they want to know what bits of kit to buy, what to invest in, and so forth. So that again is quite a huge value add. We also have a few recognised partners businesses and brands that we are affiliated to. At the moment, those are Precision Fuel and Hydration, Multisport Distribution UK, which Stock Fusion, and other brands like XLab, Parkour Wheels, Blue 70 for kind of anything swim related, particularly wetsuits. And we also recently have got a B2B, a business to business link now with a distributor for parts like tyres, like Continental tyres, SRAM components, etc. And the whole purpose of this is that the athletes and the club members, if they were to buy any of those products, they can buy any brand they wish to, but if they were to use any of those discount codes that are locked to our club members only, then they get a bit of discount. And in some cases you can be buying, if you were to buy a set of Parkour wheels and you were a regular Precision Fuel Hydration customer getting 15% off each order, again, you probably will not far off make your money back by just being a club member. So it's a huge benefit. We don't shout about it a lot. The codes are locked to our athletes. They're not public codes. The brands themselves have them locked to the email addresses of the athletes, but it's a real value add for things that you may buy that are significant investments that you see the benefit of as discount. We also have, and we've started to do it a little bit this year, and we are going to up it for next year. We have a few bike boxes within our kind of community that people can rent at a sort of cheaper rate, basically just to cover the cost of it. And they're sort of somewhat situated around the UK, around London, Bristol and up north we've got one, and we can rent those to club members. We've got some Parkour wheels that we've had a few athletes rent this year. Again, we don't charge huge sums of money for it. It's purely just to give them the kit and cover the cost of like posting them or however we get them to the athlete and setting them up for them. Those sorts of things are massive value adds in the sense of you don't necessarily, if you're new to the sport, need to buy some of these things. Bike boxes in particular, unless you've got a big house and a big garage to store it in out the way, not everybody's got the capability of having one, but they're absolutely essential, obviously, when you go to travel abroad, do your race if that's your thing. Some of the other benefits, we've got targeted races next year, so we now have grown to the size where there aren't many races we don't have a few athletes at, but for example, next year we're going to be close to 20 athletes at Ironman Wales. We've got over 10 doing Kalmar. We've got at the moment, I think 5 or 6 doing Copenhagen, which is a back-to-back weekend with Kalmar, so that'll be pretty awesome. We've got a good group doing Hamburg, and that list is growing. And then we will be at Swansea, Weymouth, Bolton, outlaw events in the UK. And I'm sure as the season develops, there'll be a few more that we add to the calendar. For example, this year we've added Valencia late because we had 1 or 2 doing it, and in the last month 3 or 4 athletes have managed to get some name changes, and now there's a group of 6, 7 of us going to do the Valencia Marathon. Again, it brings a bit of team camaraderie to your trip. You probably will be travelling with your loved ones, your partner, your family, but it's always nice to have a few familiar faces that you can kind of connect with throughout the training, but then post-race and pre-race have a bit of a social with and kind of bit of camaraderie on the day. Something we offered this year, and we continue to do so, in fact it's growing for next year, is we run training camps. So we are doing a 2-week stint in Mallorca in March and April next year. Again, only open really to those that are part of the Optimal Endurance team, and you can secure your place on that. We are also going to do, off the success of last year, we did a training weekend in Weymouth. Next year we're going to do one in Tenby because of the high volume of athletes doing Wales, and we've got Coach Finn that will probably lead that from his perspective. He knows the area very well, raced it many times, and will be racing it himself in September. But we've got those sort of meetups as well that we'll do throughout the year, and they can add massive value to people's training, particularly over the winter. A spring training camp really focuses athletes to make sure that they're not in peak physical condition for the camp. The point isn't to get, super duper fit for camp. Obviously, the point is to get super duper fit for racing, but you definitely don't want to be unfit going on camp and not able to A, do all the training or all the kind of stuff you want to do, or B, it just takes so much out of you that you're wiped out by day 2 or 3 because it's such a contrast to what you've been doing in your training over the winter. So it really does help provide that carrot on the end of the stick to get people through the dark and cold winter months. That's the Optimal Endurance Club and its current sort of list of features. I'm sure there will be things that we add to it. We're always looking to evolve it slightly, try and do things slightly differently to the other products that are out there from various coaching brands. It's £25 a month. We don't do a contract. There's no minimum period of time. You can come and join, stay for a few months, disappear, come back. So that's the Optimal Endurance Club. As I said, I truly believe for £25 a month, there's a huge amount of value there for people, whether you do the sessions or not, whether you use the discount or not, whether you use the community or not, whether you come and race with us. You can do some of those things at different points of the year in terms of getting value, what suits you best in your program, and absolutely something that can help take your kind of training, particularly over the winter, to the next level. One last thing to do with the club is, one of the things I'm very keen on is to reinvest the money that the club brings into the business. And one of those things has been this year we've got 2 sponsored athletes. And effectively the reason I've done that is because the club has got to the point with the number of members that I can afford for effectively the club revenue to sponsor an athlete. Now that might not be appealing as like to give you a reason to sign up to the club, but I do truly believe in giving back to the sport and actually making this a community thing. And it is our sort of way to demonstrate that we have some credibility and skin in the game in that, rather than just saying we're a community, we like to do things for various reasons, but there's not necessarily a lot of proof or evidence around that. And that's not firing shots at anybody else's products or anything, but that's our offering. So we've got Roxanne and Mikhail for next year. And it's something we'll continue to do and expand and grow, I expect. And I'm really proud of the fact that the club has taken off to a point. I'd love it to grow a bit more, but it's able to sustain itself and give back after 1 year of operating. That's the Optimal Endurance Club. I hope you found that useful. If you do want to sign up or want any more information, please don't hesitate to get in touch, either via Instagram, drop a comment below, send me a direct message on any of the social media platforms. And thank you for watching.